SwitchBot recently released the K10 Pro robotic vacuum, which is the upgraded version of their first venture into robotic vacuums, the K10 and they sent me one to take a look at. So let's jump right in and take a look at the $600 USD K10 Pro. At the time of this recording, you can actually get the K10 Pro for $180 USD off, which I'll have a link for in the description below. At that price point, it is a very competitive option compared to similar robot vacuums. This robot vacuum might be one of the smallest robot vacuums sold by a well-known company, and it is the smallest one I've ever seen. At just 3.6 inches high, the K10 Pro can get under plenty of hard-to-reach areas, such as under couches, bookshelves, and TV cabinets. The K10 Pro has an all-rubber roller, which helps with preventing hair tangles around the roller. The robot vacuum comes equipped with LiDAR laser navigation to help it map your home accurately. With LiDAR, you can run the K10 Pro at night without needing to leave your lights on. It also has a position-sensitive detector, or PSD, which helps it get up close and personal with table and chair legs without bumping into them. The robot vacuum comes with a self-emptying dustbin that holds up to 4 liters of debris, which should mean you only have to empty it once every 90 days or so. The auto-emptying station is compact just like the robot vacuum, measuring at only 12.6 inches high. Matter support is available for this robot vacuum, but in order to get Matter support, you do have to have the Hub 2 set up, and at this point in time, commands are very limited. The K10 Pro is ultra quiet. While SwitchBot has it rated for a sound profile of 45 dB, I had it registering in a range of 49 dB in quiet mode up to 65 dB in max mode. The robot vacuum has 4 different vacuuming profiles: quiet, standard, strong, and max. Each vacuuming profile has a rated suction level and noise level. Quiet is rated at 45 dB and 600 PA of suction. Standard is rated at 54 dB and 1100 PA. Strong is rated at 57 dB and 1600 PA. Max is rated at 59 dB and 3000 PA of suction power. The robot vacuum can be used across multiple floors, which is nice. You do have to have the auto-empty station on each floor for initial mapping though. But once the mapping is done, you can just carry the K10 Pro to whichever floor you want to vacuum. Setup of the K10 Pro is easy, just like all of the other SwitchBot products. From within the SwitchBot app, click on the plus sign in the top right hand side. Next, scroll down and select K10 Pro. Then remove the top faceplate of the robot vacuum and slide the on-off switch to on. After you put the faceplate back on, press and hold the clean button for about 10 seconds until the robot starts flashing, and then click on Next within the app. Next, press and hold the Home and Clean button for roughly 5 seconds until you hear the robot say, "Wi-Fi has been reset," and then click on Next within the SwitchBot app. Your phone will then search for and connect to the K10 Pro to provision it. Once found, click on Configure Network. You will then be presented with a list of available wireless networks. Take note that the K10 Pro does not support 5 GHz wireless networks. It only supports 2.4 GHz wireless networks. After your desired wireless network is selected and the shared secret is entered, click on Next. If you're an Android user, you'll be prompted to temporarily connect to the wireless hotspot of the K10 Pro. Onboarding the robot vacuum will take several minutes depending on the speed of your internet connection and a few other factors. Once everything is set up, you can click on the red button labeled Start Using. Next, you'll be prompted to give the robot a name and assign it to a SwitchBot room if you'd like. After, you'll be presented with the first time use guide, which includes some tips and tricks. At the end, you'll be asked if you want to set a Do Not Disturb time. During this time, the robot will not play any voice prompts, and it will not resume cleaning. Now that the K10 Pro is onboarded, we can have it map out the house. Make sure the auto-empty station is on a hard flat surface, against a wall plugged into power, and that your floor is picked up of any obstacles. You can now start a clean and map session right from here. After the session is done, your floors will be vacuumed and you'll have a map of your house that you can edit to give each room a name and change where the rooms actually are. You'll also be able to set up no-go zones. These are areas where you don't want the robot to vacuum, such as behind a couch, under an entertainment stand, or near your pet's food or water bowls. In addition to no-go zones, you can also set up no-mop zones. Just like with no-go zones, no-mop zones are used to tell your robot where to not go when it's mopping. This is great if you have whole rooms that are carpeted, have any area rugs, or if you just have places you don't want to be mopped. While you shouldn't need that many no-go or no-mop zones, you're able to have up to 30 zones per map. Within the app, you can set up cleaning schedules, which is pretty flexible. You can have multiple schedule times, and each one can either be a mop or vacuum mode. Can be set to repeat multiple times or just run once, can be for your whole house, specific rooms, or areas set up on your map, and you can set up the power level and number of times it runs a clean cycle for that scheduled run. One of the great features about robot vacuums is that you can schedule it to run every day to help keep dust levels in your home low. Normally, you'd probably only vacuum once a week if you had time, so even just having a robot vacuum run 3 times a week would be a big improvement. And with the lower noise level power options, there's a decent chance you might be able to schedule your robot to run at night when you're sleeping. Just keep in mind that the self-emptying station is pretty loud. The cleaning report will show you how often your robot ran, for how long it ran for each clean cycle, and how much area it actually cleaned. Voice Package lets you select from a few different language models that can be downloaded and used on your robot vacuum. The Find Robot option will cause the robot to speak to help you find it if needed. Accessory Usage Life will show you an estimate of how much life is left in the different consumables for the robot vacuum. These estimates are based on running time, so they can be a little off. The last option under the main page for the K10 Plus Pro is Remote Control Mode. This is exactly what it sounds like, the ability to drive your robot vacuum from your phone. Your phone does have to be on the same wireless network as your robot vacuum to work, but as long as that's the case, controlling the robot is pretty instant. The robot moving around will show up on the map, which is nice, and you can just send it home to recharge when you're done manually driving your robot vacuum around. Under Settings, which can be found by clicking on the cog for the robot vacuum, you'll find a few more nerd knobs you can play with. Vacuum Mode offers the ability to disable and enable auto-resume cleaning and reduced collision mode. Sound Volume controls the level of the robot vacuum voice. Dust Collection Settings will let you decrease or increase the length of time emptying takes place on the dock, and Collection Frequency gives you the ability to control how often the K10 Plus Pro will go back home to empty its dust bin. Child Lock is a nice feature I'm glad to see. With it enabled, a younger kid or tech-savvy pet won't be able to easily trigger a clean cycle from the robot. To disable the child lock at the robot, you can simply hold down the home button for 3 seconds. Third-party services is where you can go to see and begin integration setup with other smart home platforms. The K10 Plus Pro can be added to several different smart home systems including SmartThings, If This Then That, Google Home, and Amazon Alexa. For all of these smart home integrations, the robot vacuum only has on-off control. This means for any scheduling, you will have to set that up within the SwitchBot app. You can add the SwitchBot K10 Plus Pro into smart home systems via Matter, but there are 2 caveats. The first is that you need to have a SwitchBot Hub 2 in order for it to be shareable over Matter. And the second is that at the time of this video, the vacuum only has on-off functionality shared. This means you can't change any settings for the vacuum or direct it towards certain rooms. The K10 Plus Pro also has the ability to mop your floor. To mop, you'll first want your house mapped out. After, take one of the mopping wipes and attach it to the mopping plate that can be found inside the self-emptying base. All the bells and whistles of the K10 Plus Pro are nice, but cannot actually function as a vacuum. Well, let's take a look at my testing. I tested the ability of the robot vacuum to pick up a few different types of things off the floor, on carpet, and in a few different scenarios. During my testing, I did run into an issue with my second floor that has thicker carpeting on the stairs. Because of this, there have been a few times where one of the wheels ends up slipping off the stair. In all but one instance of this happening, the K10 Plus Pro did end up detecting the issue and stopped trying to move. In the one instance it didn't stop in time, it did end up falling down the stairs. The robot still works, even though it took a tumble, and even though I spent a lot of time trying to get it to happen again, I was not able to get the robot to fall down the stairs a second time. I also tested this a bunch of times on another set of steps that does not have carpet on them, and this never happened. I hope that this particular scenario can be avoided in a future firmware release for the robot. But in the meantime, simply setting up a no-go zone near the carpeted steps takes care of this issue pretty easily. On carpet, it does appear to pick up dust well. Throughout my testing over the last several months, I did not notice any hair getting stuck around the roller, which I'm glad to see. Overall, I like the SwitchBot K10 Plus Pro. It has a lot of features I'd want when buying a robot vacuum, and its small size makes it able to get into a lot of areas my older, much larger robot vacuum can't reach. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy automating.